Welcome. Today we're diving deep into the world of Wassily Kandinsky, a man who really, fundamentally changed how we see art.
Absolutely. We're talking early 20th century Europe here. Just imagine a continent buzzing, almost vibrating with tension, political tension, yes, but also this incredible artistic energy.
Yeah, everything felt like it was shifting. Old ideas were crumbling, and art was right there in the thick of it.
And right at the heart of that creative storm, you find Kandinsky. Now, get this. He was a Russian intellectual, already 30, with a solid legal career ahead of him.
And he just walked away from it. The paint.
Exactly. A decision that didn't just change his path, it arguably changed the course of art history for everyone.
So that's our mission for this deep dive, right? To figure out how this academic became the father of abstract art.
How he literally saw sounds and heard colors. It's incredible stuff.
And what can his vision, his revolution, tell you, our listener, about how you perceive art, maybe even the world today?
So we're going to trace his journey from those early, maybe unexpected influences and key relationships,
through to his big ideas about color, form, the spiritual side of art.
And then look at his lasting impact. We'll go chronologically, look at key paintings, those moments of breakthrough.
Okay, let's unpack this. His journey, as you said, it didn't start in an art studio.
No. Born in Moscow, 1866. Wealthy family, tea merchants. They moved to Odessa later.
And his parents separated early, raised by an aunt, I think.
That's right. And his education was serious stuff. Law, national economics, ethnology, at Lomonosov University in Moscow.
He even finished a dissertation on workers' wages, of all things. Seems so far from, composition sifts.
It really does. But then, 1889, this expedition he takes.
Ah, yes, up to the northern Ural Mountains. Officially, he was studying the legal system of the Surjanin people. But
what really grabbed him, what stuck with him, were these, he called them mythical abstract paintings on old drums.
Ancient patterns, non-representational. That must have been quite something for him to encounter then.
You have to think, it planted a seed, maybe. This idea that art could communicate something powerful without just copying reality.
So powerful that even when he was offered a university job, a stable academic future,
he turned it down, chose art instead. 1896, moves to Munich.
And starts his formal art training there, Anton Ashby's private school first.
Right, that's where he met Jelinsky. Then later, the Munich Academy under Franz von Stuck.
So what's fascinating here, I think, is that mix. He has this rigorous academic mind trained in systems and law.
And then this deep dive into ancient cultures, into symbolic imagery, into the raw power of visual forms.
But like that legal and ethnographic background gave him a unique lens, maybe. A way to think about structure within art, even abstract art.
Possibly laying the groundwork for how systematic he'd later be about his theories of color and form. It wasn't just random splashing.
And around 1901, he's already organizing, right? Co-founding the Phalanx group.
Yeah, and it's painting school. Right. Always pushing against the grain, trying to create new platforms.
And crucially, that's where he met Gabriele Munter,
who became so important. His companion, yes, but also a fellow artist deeply involved in his development.
So, okay, he's in Munich, he's training, he's organizing. But his art wasn't immediately abstract, was it?
No, not at all. The early 1900s, he was traveling a lot, Italy, Netherlands, North Africa, Russia.
And his paintings were still representational, like The Colorful Life from 1907. It's vibrant, expressive, but you can clearly see what it depicts.
Definitely. But then comes 1908, Murnau.
Murnau am Staffelsee, that little village in Bavaria. Seems like a turning point.
A decisive station, as some sources put it. He and Munter were there, working alongside Marian von Werfgen and Alexei Jelinsky.
And it's under their influence, particularly Werfgen and Jelinsky, that things really shifted.
Yeah, the sources say they made this great leap from painting nature as it looked.
More impressionistic, maybe?
To feeling a content, abstracting, getting the essence, the extract, as they called it.
So he's moving from just seeing to feeling, distilling emotion onto the canvas.
That's his rapid move into expressionism, heading straight towards abstraction.
And this is also when he starts getting interested in theosophy, anthroposophy, Rudolf Steiner's ideas.
Exactly. Those spiritual philosophies, exploring inner experience, universal truths, they really fed into his quest for the spiritual in art, the non-material.
But moving from painting landscapes to painting feelings. That must have caused some friction, right? Especially within groups.
Oh, absolutely. This artistic ferment led directly to founding the Neue Künstlervereinigung München, the N.K.V.M, in 1909. Kandinsky was its first chairman.
And this is where that slightly odd rule comes in, the 4 square meter clause.
Yes. He introduced it. Members could show 2 works without jury approval, but nothing bigger than 4 square meters. Seems specific.
Almost bureaucratic, but becomes important later, doesn't it?
It really does. It becomes the flashpoint. The N.K.V.M itself aimed high, organizing shows in Germany and abroad. 3 significant ones.
Okay, so here's where the story gets really juicy. The N.K.V.M starts getting tense.
Understandably? Maybe. Kandinsky's work is getting more and more abstract. Some members are getting nervous.
They wanted comprehensible works, basically, not these wild explorations of color and form.
Right. So, January 1911, Kandinsky steps down as chairman. Stays a member, though. Playing it cool, perhaps.
And then comes the crack, the clash.
It's quite the story. Kandinsky and Franz Marc were already sort of secretly planning their own thing, an alternative exhibition.
Anticipating a showdown.
Exactly. So Kandinsky paints this huge piece, the Last Judgment composition V, significantly over 5 square meters.
Deliberately breaking that 4 square meter rule he himself had instituted.
Precisely. He submits it, the jury rejects it, predictably, on December 2nd, 1911.
Kandinsky and Marc put on a show of being outraged, protesting.
And dramatically quit the N.K.V.M, taking Minter and Alfred Kubin with them.
But it was all planned. He later admitted it, didn't he? Something like, we saw the clash coming, so we prepared another exhibition.
And famously added, the revenge was sweet. A bit of artistic theater there.
But looking at the bigger picture, this wasn't just egos clashing, was it?
No, it was fundamental. A battle over where art was heading, what modernism was.
And they didn't waste any time. Just over 2 weeks later, December 18th, 1911.
The first Blaue Reiter exhibition opens. Redaktion der Blaue Reiter at the Thanhauser Gallery.
And the masterstroke. It was right next door to the N.K.V.M show.
Talk about making a statement. It caused a sensation, a direct challenge.
And alongside this, he publishes his big theoretical work.
Concerning the spiritual in art, hugely influential. It lays out his philosophy, shaped by everything from new physics, Planck, Einstein challenging solid reality, to Steiner's spiritual ideas.
It became a kind of manifesto for abstract art.
And then the Der Blaue Reiter Almanac followed in 1912, cementing their ideas. It wasn't just painting, it was music, folk art, children's art, all feeding into this new spiritual approach.
You mentioned music. That connection was important too, right? Schoenberg?
Very. He and Marc went to an Arnold Schoenberg concert in 1911. Kandinsky was blown away.
Inspired his painting Impression Thur concert.
Yes, and it started a correspondence between them. Kandinsky saw a kinship between Schoenberg's dissonant, atonal music and his own move away from representation in painting. Both were breaking the old rules.
So he wasn't just painting, he was thinking deeply, connecting dots across art forms, science, spirituality.
An incredible artistic intelligence, yes. And this profound sensitivity, especially to color and form, for him, art wasn't just something you looked at.
It was total sensory experience. Which brings us to the synesthesia.
Right. He didn't just see colors. He heard them, felt their texture, maybe even smelled them.
Yellow wasn't just yellow, it was sharp. And even sharper when combined with a sharp shape, like a triangle.
Exactly. It wasn't just a metaphor for him. He believed this sensory connection could bypass the rational mind and hit you directly, emotionally, like music does.
He literally wanted to paint like composing music. Color sounds, color harmony.
Building symphonies on canvas, it's an amazing concept.
Let's get into his actual system then, his color grammar. You mentioned blue?
Okay, yeah. For him, blue. Cold. Vast like the sky. Spiritual, infinite calm. It pulls inwards, concentric. He even called it soft and aromatic.
And its opposite, yellow.
Warm, earthly, aggressive, pushing outwards, eccentric. That's the sharp, stinging one.
Then you have the basic pair, black and white, dark and light.
And other opposing pairs creating tension and harmony. Red-green, orange-violet, a whole emotional palette.
And he linked these to forms too, didn't he? It wasn't arbitrary?
No, very specific. Blue belonged to the circle, red to the square, and yellow to the triangle.
He laid this out in his later book, Point and Line to Plane, from 1926. He describes the point as fertilizing the plane, the horizontal line as cold, black, silent, the vertical is active, warm, white.
It's incredibly detailed. Free lines are blue and yellow. The bottom of the canvas feels heavy, the top light, left is distance, right is home. He built a whole visual language.
A universe from points, lines, and colors. So how did he structure this complex sensory world in his paintings? Did he have categories?
He did, yes. And again, drawing parallels directly with music, he had 3 main types of abstract work.
Okay, what were they?
First, improvisations. These were meant to be more spontaneous, unconscious expressions bubbling up from his inner nature, like a jazz improv maybe. Think Improvisation 26.
Okay, spontaneous bursts.
Yeah.
What else?
Then impressionin, or impressions. These started with an impression from the outside world, from nature, but were filtered through his inner feeling. Impression third, concert, fits here.
Right, inspired by the Schoenberg concert. And the third type.
The compositionen, or compositions, these were the big ones, major works, developed slowly, consciously, meticulously planned and revised. The conscious mind was really driving these.
Like the famous ones, Composition T, Composition 7, 8, X.
Exactly, monumental statements. His ultimate goal across all these was achieving color harmony that could, as he put it, touch the human soul.
So arranging color chords into color symphonies.
To evoke specific feelings. Harmony, dissonance, just like music. He even compared colors to instruments. Bright yellow like a high trumpet.
Light blue like a flute, dark blue a cello.
And that deep, profound blue like a double bass or a deep organ tone. He wanted his paintings to resonate like music.
It all comes back to that core idea. The spiritual in art. Color and form needed that inner resonance, that soul for him.
Without it, it was just decoration.
So after the Blue Riders' initial splash, world events intervene again, right? World War I.
Yes, 1914, Germany declares war on Russia. As a Russian citizen, Kandinsky couldn't stay in Germany.
He had to leave. Fled to Switzerland first with Gabriel and Minter.
But then returned to Moscow alone. The relationship with Minter ended around this time, too.
And in Moscow, he remarried in 1917 to Nina Nikolaevna Andreyevskaya.
Right, and post-revolution, he actually got quite involved in the new Soviet art scene. Joined the arts department, IZO, led the Institute for Artistic Culture on Chi UK.
Interacting with Malevich, Tatlin, Rodchenko.
Yeah.
Major figures of the Russian avant-garde.
But it didn't last. The political climate shifted. Restrictions on artistic freedom, as the sources say, became increasingly unbearable.
Plus, he lost his family fortune in the upheaval.
So things got tough. In 1921, he and Nina emigrated again, this time to Berlin.
And that leads to the next major chapter, the Bauhaus.
Exactly. Walter Gropius invites him in 1922. He joins the faculty at Weimar.
And you can see another shift in his work around this time, can't you? More geometric.
Definitely. That encounter with Russian constructivism in Moscow, with its focus on geometry and structure, clearly left its mark. His paintings become more, well, structured. Geometric elements are much more pronounced.
He taught at the Bauhaus through all its moves, right? Weimar, Dessau.
Where he lived in one of those iconic Meisterhäuser neighbors with Paul Klee.
Imagine those conversations. And then Berlin, until the Nazis shut it down in 1933.
He was central to the Bauhaus vision, taught workshops, theory, even served as vice director for a while.
Still organizing, too. In 1924, he co-founds the Blue Four.
Yeah, with Feininger, Klee, and his old friend Jelensky, a way to promote their work internationally, especially in the U.S.
And he publishes Point and Line to Plane in 1926, codifying those geometric principles we talked about.
He even became a German citizen in 1928. Seems like he was settling in.
And then a really crucial meeting in 1930, Solomon R. Guggenheim.
Ah, yes. That meeting was pivotal for Kandinsky's legacy. Guggenheim started buying his work. A lot of it.
Over 150 pieces, eventually, forming the core of what would become the Guggenheim Museum in New York. Quite foresightful of Guggenheim.
Absolutely. He recognized the importance of non-objective painting early on.
But then, 1933, the Nazis closed the Bauhaus, another forced move.
Yes, Kandinsky and Nina emigrated again, this time to France, settling near Paris and Neuilly-sur-Seine.
And Paris wasn't exactly welcoming for his style of art then, was it?
No, it was tough. Cubism and surrealism were the dominant forces. Abstract art, especially Kandinsky's spiritual geometric abstraction, wasn't widely embraced.
Only a few galleries supported him, but he kept working, kept exhibiting where he could.
Participated in shows like Abstraction Creation in Paris, Abstract and Concrete in London, Cubism and Abstract Art in New York. Kept his name out there.
They became French citizens in 1939. And that year, he finished Composition X.
A real magnum opus, a culmination of decades of exploration.
But the Nazi threat wasn't just political. It hit his art directly.
Tragically, yes. In 1937, the Nazis confiscated 57 of his works from German museums, deemed degenerate.
And 14 were put in that infamous Untertätkunst exhibition in Munich, a public shaming of modern art.
It's horrifying to think about, but despite all that, the war, the rejection, he kept painting. Daily, apparently, right up until July 1944.
He passed away just a few months later, December 1944, in Neuilly-sur-Seine.
A life lived through incredible artistic and political turmoil. But his influence, his legacy, was only just beginning to be fully understood.
Absolutely. His work featured prominently in the big post-war document exhibitions in Germany, showing his enduring relevance.
And his wife, Nina, played a huge role after his death.
Dedicated her life to managing his estate, right? Making sure his work got into major museums.
Yes, significant donations, like 30 key pieces to the Centre Pompidou in Paris. Her life ended tragically too, though a robbery murder in 1980.
And she founded the original Prix Kandinsky, didn't she? To support young, abstract artists after the war.
That's right, it ran from 46 to 61, different from the prize that exists today, but carried his name forward.
One other subtle influence may be worth touching on? Japonism.
Yes. It's not something he talked about much, but the evidence is there. Japanese woodcuts, stencils found in his belongings.
You can kind of see it in some motifs, bird swarms, clouds, that slightly flattened, forced perspective sometimes.
Exactly, like in Naturstadias Myrnaweek. It was part that broader European fascination with Japanese aesthetics. Even Franz Marc had a seal made with his initials in Japanese characters, found via Kandinsky's letters.
Fascinating how these influences weave together. So after this whole journey, what does it all mean for you listening now?
Well, Kandinsky wasn't just making pretty pictures. He was a thinker, a theorist, building this whole language.
A language for the unseen, the inner world, using just color and form. He had the audacity to ask, can art speak to your soul without showing you a recognizable object?
At his life story itself. Constant upheaval, yet this unwavering artistic conviction. It shows that big breakthroughs often come from sticking to your guns, challenging the rules, even your own rules.
So how does that quest he had for the spiritual and art, his whole idea of color symphonies, how does that land with us today?
I think it challenges us, doesn't it, to look past the surface, to think about how our senses might actually connect sight and sound, form and feeling.
To recognize that art can be this direct line to our emotions, maybe bypassing words altogether, exploring the invisible.
Exactly. It pushes us to experience art, maybe even the world, more deeply.
So what really stands out to you from Kandinsky's story, that idea of seeing sounds or hearing colors, could that change how you experience things after this deep dive?
Maybe next time you listen to music, you could try to imagine its colors, or look at a painting and try to feel its rhythm, its sound. It's an invitation, really,